Peace, Israel, and Yah bless. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. The title of today's lesson is Know Your Role. Once again, today's lesson is entitled Know Your Role. We each have a role to play. The righteous man has a role to play. The holy people has a role to play. And the unrighteous and the wicked also has a role to play. We're all under orders from the Most High. So we are to know our role, and we are to play it to an Oscar's performance. Once again, brace yourselves, tighten up your jaws, do not turn to the left or to the right, or you will get hit in the mouth. We are to walk the straight and narrow way of the Most High's commandments. We're not to deviate to the right hand and or to the left hand. We are to walk the straight and narrow way. All right, we're to know our role once again. You know, if a man, for example, if a man has been a bum or he's homeless living on the street, he may have to resort to begging. And a beggar is not going to come up to you with his chest stuck out. He'll be humble, he'll be embarrassed, etc., etc. He will take on the form of a beggar. However, if you took that man and lifted him up and showed him that he was important, that he was something special, his actions would be entirely different. So these lessons are to encourage the children of Israel to read the law in their ear and to reiterate to them that they are and that we are something special. And if we understand that we are special and we understand that we are holy, then we are more likely to take on these characteristics, and we will change our behavior entirely. So this is the purpose of lessons such as this. For those who are unaware, who don't know, for them to know, and for those who are aware and are knowledgeable, for them to be strengthened in these words. All right, we will start off with Deuteronomy chapter 7. Deuteronomy chapter 7. And we will start with verse 6. And verse 6 reads, For thou art an holy people unto Yah thy strength. Yah thy strength has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, singular pronoun, above all the people that are upon the face of the earth. So the house of Israel, we are to know our role, that we are a separate people, first of all, and we are a special people. Special means entirely different, meaning that you are not like others. And we're also a separate people unto him. So therefore, we must understand that, first of all, we are different. So we should not be trying to be like other people. That is one. We are set apart. In other words, we are to separate ourselves from the midst of the people that we are in. We continue to try to take part in their festivities. I know many of you who are Israelites and are walking in the way. You don't have a Christmas tree at your house. You don't have Christmas lights at your house. You didn't go to the Christmas party. Everyone is thinking that maybe there's something wrong with you because you refuse to take part in lies. And not only are they lies, not only do they have no benefit or profit to them, these things will bring curses upon your own house. So we understand clearly that we are not to walk in the way of the heathen. We are entirely different. We are entirely a separate people, and therefore our behaviors must demonstrate such. We cannot be running around trying to be like other people. That has been part of our problem. Let's move over now to Deuteronomy chapter 6, and we'll read verse 2. Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 2 reads, That thou mightest fear Yah thy strength, to keep all his commandments and to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, thou and thy son, and thy son's son, all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged. So the commandments that we were given were to be kept from one generation to the next. We're to teach it to our sons and our daughters, for they are nothing but us in the next generation, that the house of Israel may continue on walking in a confined space, meaning we're not allowed to go to the left or to the right. We're to walk the straight and narrow. Narrow means a tight way, a straight way. In other words, we are to conduct ourselves within parameters, within boundaries. As we can see clearly that the nations have no parameters and they have absolutely no boundaries. This is why they are absolutely lawless, and they will tell you that there is no law because they actually believe that. That is why all of their behavior is a clear indication to us that they are lawless and boundless. There are no boundaries for them. However, they have not been given the Most High's laws, statutes, judgments, and precepts. You have, O house of Israel, and therefore you cannot do as they do. Let's stay in the same chapter. Let's move down to verse 13. And we'll read 13 and 14. And verse 13 reads, Thou shalt fear Yah thy strength, and serve him, and shall swear by his name, singular. I've seen Israelites on here speaking of the Holy Spirit as a she and all types of other madness. Verse 14, Ye shall not go after other gods. These are idols. That's why it's in lowercase. Of the gods of the people, the idols of the many nations around us, also the many nations by which we have been scattered in. We should not be going after their gods. Their gods are idols, falsehoods, God with lowercase. Once again, verse 15, Ye shall not go after other idols, idols of the people which are round about you. So at no time are we ever to go after the idols of these many nations. As you know, Christmas has just passed, and it's amazing to see our people out shopping, spending money with the people that absolutely hates them and will take that money and use it against them to do them harm. Many of us are spending money that we do not have. And so the year begins and we do not have as much money as we're supposed to have because we've bought gifts trying to impress people with money that we did not have. Putting up Christmas trees and speaking about how someone has died for our sins, when you will turn on your TV that day, the day before, and the day after, and see where these very people that you think is dying for you, etc., etc., these are the people that's been killing you for centuries and continue to do it before your face, but you refuse to believe what your eyes see. Let's move down to verse 17. Ye shall diligently keep the commandments of Yah your strength, and his testimonies, and his statutes, which he has commanded thee. So therefore, as the house of Israel, you are to know your role. We are servants unto the Most High Yah. We are his special people, set apart to bring his law, to bring his righteousness to the nations. That is our role. We are to play that role to an Oscar's performance. The wicked man is going to do what he's going to do. Do understand that he is under orders as well. The very people that's killing us and making life rough for us and have brought us into these many nations, having us speaking all types of weird languages, we're being called by their names, and we have taken a hold of their customs along with their women. We must understand, and their men too, some of our women have married onto the heathen. We are to understand clearly, once we understand what our role is as Israelites, then all of a sudden we begin to withdraw our hands from the behaviors that we have been taught and indoctrinated in these many lands. We have to make some changes once we find out exactly who we are. We're to lift ourselves up from the dunghill, and we are to act and conduct ourselves as we are or were instructed and ordained to be, a holy people. Let's move down to verse 25. And verse 25 reads, And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yah our strength, as he has commanded us. The us is a specific family, the house of Israel. He has not commanded the other nations to do this. So therefore, when we see them acting in the manner that they do, where they are parties to wickedness, parties to violence, parties to hypocrisy, and flat out murder, we should not be shocked. They were never given a boundary. They were never given confines by which to conduct themselves. Therefore, they move in a manner that is absolutely lawless. The problem that we're seeing today is that the house of Israel has embraced this lawlessness and have sought to be as lawless as those around us and those who have captured us. And the Most High has made it plain that this thing ought not to be done and that it will not be allowed to be. We have done it for a time, but it will not be allowed to continue, just so we clearly understand that. Let's move back to verse 7. It's a chapter 7 of Deuteronomy. Chapter 7 of Deuteronomy, we will turn to verse 3. And verse 3 of chapter 7 of Deuteronomy reads, Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. So we are to understand clearly that you see now, if you look at your TV, I don't look at TV. Any news that I get it directly from the internet. I read my news, and in some cases I may be able to see a clip or two via video, but at no time do I go to the mainstream media for my news. They have lied to us entirely too much. However, I have taken note, even within the framework of a YouTube, you're seeing the mixed couples. They're trying to push that in front of your face. We must understand that our enemies, their goal is to do everything that contradicts the Most High's laws, statutes, judgments, and precepts. If the Most High said there will be no mixing, what they're going to do, they're going to push mixing. You're not to be murdering, okay, they're going to push murder. You're not to be hypocritical, they're going to push being hypocritical and put it in front of your face. You're not to lie, they're going to lie directly in front of your face. The Most High made it plain that the depths of the seas will not be searched out. They will make a submarine and go down and try to find the deepest point of the sea. And the Most High will kill them when they do this. So everything that the Most High has made plain should not be done, we will find clearly, and we will bear witness to the fact that these people in the midst of us who has taken us captive are in direct opposition to the Most High Yah, and will try to challenge him in every way, shape, and form to their own detriment. We continue to see this time and time again, and there's no giving up in this man, for his wickedness is great. He continues to challenge the words of the Most High and go against his statutes, judgments, and precepts. He's trying to be God. He's trying to play God. He's trying to outsmart and outdo God, none of which is possible. Now let's move down to verse 6, the same chapter, verse 6 of Deuteronomy chapter 7. For thou art an holy people unto Yah. We've read this already. Yah has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Once again, we are to be reminded that we're not like other people, and we should not be trying to be like them, nor should we ever encourage our children to be like them. We are a separate people. We are to withdraw our hands from the manners and the ways of the people that are around us. It is harmful unto us. And clearly, as I've made mention of the mixed interracial couples that you're seeing with the mixed babies in these commercials, you're also seeing these homosexuals. They're just popping up on commercials as well. Everything that is just foul and vile as it pertains to the Most High's Torah, they will do all that they can to push it and ram it down your throats. What we are not to do, we are not to be accepting of any of these behaviors. We are not as these people. We should not do as they do. It is detrimental unto us. Now let's move over to Deuteronomy chapter 10. Deuteronomy chapter 10, and we will read verse 15. And verse 15 reads of Deuteronomy chapter 10, Only Yah hath delight in thy fathers, to love them. He chose their seed, that's their children after them. So he said he chose their seed after them, even you, above all people, as it is this day. So once again, knowing your role and playing it to an Oscar's performance. Once you understand clearly that you are the house of Israel and that you are the children of Israel and that you are the seed of the children of Israel, as we come into this book and we're being brought to remembrance, we are that bum that's been spat on, that's been begging, that's been kicked around in the street. And then finally, the Most High pours out his Spirit upon us, and we go into this book, and we're being reminded, we're being brought to remembrance that no, you're not a bum. No, you're not worthless. No, you're not the N-word that they have told you. They have spat upon you and told you that you are worthless. You are none of these things. So the purpose of a quote unquote religion, and we were not given religion, we were given laws. If you are in any type of spirituality, i.e. a religion, and it does not empower you, you're wasting your time. What the Torah does to the Israelite, it empowers him. It strengthens him against his enemies, and it bonds him to his God, and it gives him a purpose. Many of us have been moving around in the many nations without purpose. However, once you clearly understand the script and you understand what your role is within the framework of the script, and you act in accordance to your role, then everything changes. This is where you get your rewards. So we're to understand clearly that we are above all people as it is this day, though we're currently at the bottom because of our past behaviors. So now we're being awakened. It is time to get up and dust yourself off. Raise yourself up from the dust. Get up from the dunghill and realize that you are special unto the Most High. You are his people. You are part of the holy people, and you must act in accordance to your role. It is very simple. Moving over to verse 19. Verse 19 of the same chapter, Deuteronomy chapter 10. And verse 19 reads, "Love ye therefore the stranger, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt," in the land of Mizraim. Now, many of our people who are brokenhearted and broken in spirit because the oppressor has literally killed their spirit, they have taken a text such as this and have taken it out of context. Our people have always been those to where we would not sit back and just allow you to take advantage of us. And our men, the best combatants that the earth have ever seen, will just stand by and do absolutely nothing because they have turned away from their strength, the Most High Yah, and have turned to JC and all the other idols of the nations. Once we did this, our spirits were broken. We were weakened. The Most High was not before us. And without the Most High before us, we will flee before our enemies. We will lose. We will have a broken heart and a broken spirit. And the nations will not fear us the minute we decide to turn away and start to serve their idols. That is why it's imperative that they continue to bring this JC to us and any other manner of falsehood that is against the Most High's laws, statutes, judgments, and precepts. For our enemies know, should we continue to walk in a way that is not right, we can never be strengthened by which to overcome them. So we must understand this concept in theory, and we must understand this concept in practice. So once again, we're reading here Deuteronomy chapter 10 and verse 19. What this is simply reiterating is we have been strangers in times past in Egypt. We have been in bondage in times past in Egypt. So therefore, if we're dealing with a stranger and he is in need, for example, there's a stranger and he's hungry, we are to feed him if it's within our power to do so. There's a stranger, he is naked and in need of clothing, and it's within our power by which to give him something by which he can cover himself, we're to do so. If he is thirsty and we have the ability to offer him a drink of water, we're to do so. What this does not mean that we're to walk around loving the people that's shooting and killing our sons in the street. We have never been of that mindset from the days of old. And so therefore we should not be of that mindset now. So therefore them killing our sons and us going in the back and taking a check for $5 million and then hugging the family and then telling the rest of Israel to go home and calm down and it's not that bad. These are things that should not be done. When the enemy do us wrong and it's unjust, it's our right to ensure that justice is served. It has always been that way. We're not to turn a blind eye to justice. And when you decide to go in the back and take a check and go hug the man or the family of the man that has murdered one of our sons, you are a traitor. Not only that, you are an unrighteous person. For what you have done, you have turned a blind eye to judgment and righteousness. And anyone that turns a blind eye to righteous judgment and will not enforce righteous judgment and will not allow it to be executed, the Most High will turn his face against that man and his house. So we're not to at any time turn a blind eye to justice and judgment. That is righteous justice, righteous justice and righteous judgment. So don't allow this verse 19 of Deuteronomy chapter 10 to make you think as though, hey, you know what? I'm to just love the stranger after he kicks me in the face, after he hangs my son, shoots my son down in the street, beat up my daughter. I'm supposed to just love him. This is not how this works. This is us simply not misusing or abusing a stranger. For we were once strangers in the land of Egypt. That's it. And we're not to go beyond that with some Christian, silly nonsense that weakens our spirit and causes us to turn the blind eye when we have been abused by our enemies. All right. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 16. Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 16, and verse 16 reads, "Take heed to yourselves, that your heart be not deceived, that you not be tricked, and ye turn aside and serve other gods and worship them." Notice the gods written here is lowercase. So we have been deceived. We were warned not to be deceived. We have been tricked. We were specifically instructed not to be tricked, that we may not turn our hearts away from the Most High Yah, the man, the one who delivered us. Is the Most High that delivered us out of Egypt. It's the Most High that has taken us into captivity in the many nations in which we dwell. It's the Most High that protects us. It's the Most High that punishes us. And it's the Most High that provides for us. So his role, as we play our role to an Oscar's performance, the Most High will do three things. He will provide for us, he will protect us, and he will punish us when it's due in measure. For not to punish the children of Israel is to be accepting of their lawless behavior. And we as men in the family of Israel, we are to also ensure that we do these three things, these three P's. We are to punish, we're to protect, we're to provide. And once we decide that we're not going to punish and start turning our blind eye and acting like we didn't see these foul things and these evils in the midst of us and refuse to punish it, that's when the Most High leaves the family of Israel. He pulls himself away from the midst of us, and then wickedness and unrighteousness multiplies itself for the men of Israel who are supposed to protect, to provide, and punish those in the midst of us, refuse to play their role as men. All right. So we have been tricked. We have taken a hold of the falsehoods of JC and whatever else we've got going on. And we have seen that it has not been of any benefit to us. Yet we refuse to see with our eyes. We're busy seeing that, okay, we're praying to this person supposedly died for us. Yet we can see clearly that these people have been our tormentors from times past. We're running around calling ourselves Christians. Yet we can see clearly it's the Christians by way of the Crusades, from the Catholics until they had the Protestant Reformation, where they all became the denominations of the Christian churches, which is known as the Protestant churches. They have all been murdering us, slaughtering us, enslaving us throughout the entire earth. It's the Christians that's been our tormentors. But yet we have been tricked. And so now we're calling ourselves by the name of the very people who have murdered and slaughtered and enslaved us and continue to do it to this day. So not only have we been tricked, we have been made fools, and we continue to act as fools in the midst of these nations, saying foolish things, thinking that some man is flying through the sky and bringing your children gifts, some white man with a bag coming down your chimney. My grandsons are not old enough just yet, But at his other grandparents' house, I'm certain they've been telling him all of this madness. But I'm going to take him right here to my fireplace, and I'm going to have him look up to the draft area and let him understand that a man can't come through here. And any man that looked like that came with a bag to any of us, he came to take something. Anytime we have met and encountered these people in times past has been to our detriment. And so these are the realities that some of our people refuse to face. These people are not bringing us anything good. These are our captors, period. And we are to understand that. So we have been deceived, we have been tricked, and we have turned aside. We've turned aside from walking within the law, statutes, judgments, and precepts. Now we're dealing with some people who don't look like us, who have murdered and enslaved us, and now we're calling ourselves by their names. We're calling ourselves Christians. We're walking after their ways that profit us for absolutely nothing. We're serving their gods, and we have more churches than they do. We go more often than they do, and yet we are beaten, and we're at the bottom of the barrel, and we're worse off than anyone else. We are so bad off that a stranger from another land can come into the places where we dwell. They don't speak the language, and within the span of 1, 3 to 5 years, they're above us. And the Most High speaks to this very thing. And yet we refuse to take our eyes, come in to the scrolls, read it, and then look up and see it and actually believe it. We want to take a hold of vanity, falsehoods. In other words, we have taken a hold of fantasies. And this happens when someone has been traumatized. They don't want to deal with reality anymore. A fantasy is much more appeasing to them. So we're to get away from these fantasies, and we're to deal with the reality of the matter of what is actually happening to us. For we are serving the worthlessness of these nations. Now, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 11. We will read, we're still in 11. Well, let's jump down to 25 through 28. All right. And verse 25 of Deuteronomy chapter 11 reads, "There shall no man be able to stand before you, for Yah your strength shall lay the fear of you and the dread of you upon all the land that ye shall tread upon, as he has said unto you." All of these nations that we're terrified of, they're supposed to be afraid of you, O man of Israel. They're supposed to be afraid of you, O woman of Israel. However, the fear of you has been taken away. They feared you not because your shoulders are wide. They feared you because when you stepped forth, you had the Most High before you. You are walking within his laws, statutes, judgments, and precepts. So when they see you, they saw the Most High's people, literally. And because you had him before you, that's what they saw. And they were fearful of doing anything to you because of the adverse effect of that action. However, once you took a hold of falsehood, the Most High departed away from you, O man of Israel. He departed from us. So therefore, as we stood in front of these people, all they saw was none but an N-word. And that's where we are right now. And whatever bywords that they used in times past and what they use presently. However, by returning back onto the Most High's law, statutes, judgments, and precepts, and taking a hold of the things that are right in his sight, then all of a sudden your position will be reinstated, because now you're playing your role to an Oscar's performance. You're walking within the narrow confines of his law. And therefore now he will protect you, he will provide for you, and in times when needed, he will punish you in measure. And if you know that your actions, if they are not right, will result in punishment, then you're less likely to do something that will cause you to be punished or cause you to be harmed. And so therefore you will seek to walk in righteousness and to do that which is right. For you would know to step out of bounds carries a penalty. Do understand that our enemies can care less about stepping out of bounds, because in their eyes there are no bounds and there is no penalty, and there has been no penalty for them, for he has not dealt with them in this manner, but that is coming. All right, verse 26. So we understand clearly that these nations are supposed to fear you, but they don't anymore. because your protection has left you. You have turned to falsehood, things wherein there is no profit. You have turned to JC. That's what you have done. And there's been no protection for any of you under this falsehood, including your preachers. I will start the most notable, Dr. Martin Luther King. I felt that man was sincere in all of his efforts to deliver and to help his people. But he delivered them into burning houses. He came to understand, for he sought to join the house of Israel with their enemies. And we were clearly instructed that we are a separate people. And so the God that he was serving, the God of Christianity, did not deliver him from those bullets, did not protect him. So we're to understand all of these things, and we're to deal with the reality of the matter on the ground before us. Verse 26, behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. So the blessing is you will walk in the Most High's instruction. The curse is that you will buck up against the Most High, take his law, ball it up, chuck it behind your back and say, you know what, I ain't going to do it. And once you decide to make that decision, then the Most High has departed away from you. There goes your provision. There goes your protection. And here comes your punishment. And these are the things that we must deal with. Verse 27, a blessing if ye obey the commandments of Yahweh thy strength, which I command you this day. Verse 28, and a curse if you will not obey the commandments of Yah your strength, but turn aside out of the way, which I command you this day, to go after other idols which ye have not known. Our forefathers never called on anyone called JC, ever. You will never find that in our written records anywhere. However, our people have been tricked. They have been fooled. And thus they have turned aside out of the way. And therefore they have lost their protection. The nations no longer fear you. And that's why they will kill your son in the street, for they know there's no punishment for it. Not only that, as they kill us, back in the day, you harm one of us, you deal with the entire nation. Nowadays, you harm one of us, all of the men are so afraid they scatter like roaches. There's no one coming to your aid. Your people are not coming to help you. It's not happening. They don't have the Most High before them. And because we do not have the Most High before us, and we do not have a common denominator, the common denominator within the 12 tribes of Israel is supposed to be that Torah. Failure to follow the Torah has caused us to be broken up and split apart. The Torah is the glue that holds this family together. Should we return back onto the Torah, then once you decide to mistreat one of us, then you're going to have to deal with all of us collectively as a family. But we have been fragmented because we have been tricked. And if we have not been tricked, there's been some of us who have willingly turned aside to serve after the gods and the idols of their enemies. And it has not benefited them, and it shall never benefit them, ever. All right. So we understand clearly that we have this choice, joy or misery, life or death. And we see clearly that the house of Israel has chosen misery and death. And that's why we continue no matter how long we live. Speak to one of our elders and they will tell you, oh, let me tell you about the good old days. Tricked, confused, to where they will tell you about the good old days and tell you about the misery that they have faced and the hardships. Most High killed their children, made them struggle throughout all their years. They're living to be 90 years old, 100 years old, and there's nothing but horror stories from the beginning to the end. And they don't know the difference between bitter and sweet, to where they're telling you about the good old days and it's nothing but a horror story. And this is the confusion of our people. They have not known peace, for they have never walked in the law. And so therefore they take bitterness and confuse it for sweetness. They tell you about the good old days and all the horror stories of how the people wouldn't let them enter. You couldn't eat here, you couldn't do there, you couldn't say this, you couldn't do that, etc., etc., etc. This is absolutely a nightmare. And somehow they find that to be the good old days, for they're confused and they have been tricked. Let's move on to Deuteronomy chapter 12. Deuteronomy chapter 12, and we will read verse 11. And verse 11 reads, Then there shall be a place which Yah your strength shall choose to cause his name to dwell there, a place, not a few places, not several places. Let me reread that again for effect. Verse 11 of Deuteronomy chapter 12 reads, There shall be a place which Yah your strength shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. Thither shall you bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings and your sacrifices, your tithe and the heave offering of your hand, and all your choice vows which ye vow unto Yah. Once again, as you begin to awaken and shake yourself from the dust and come from the darkness of wickedness and absolutely no law, and come into the light of the law. Once you get in this light, then you're able to see the things that are before you. In the dark, you're falling over, tripping over things, and walking into walls. You're walking in circles, have no idea where you're going, because you cannot see by which to maneuver in a manner that will cause you to go forward. However, with the Most High's law, with the Most High's light, you can now see where the traps and snares are at your feet. You can now walk that straight and narrow. You understand? So these are the things that we're to understand when we turn to the law. And the Most High stated clearly, he will place his name in one place in the midst of all of our tribes. I'm going to have this one place where my altar will be. I'm going to have this one place where if you have a vow to be made, you've got to come and do it at this one place. If you have tithe and offerings that you want to bring up, it has to come to this one place. At no time, though the house of Israel was spread out throughout the land, and every family had its borders, all the children of Israel were neighbors. When you hear love thy neighbor, we're talking about the children of Israel, because all the families were giving lands neighboring each other. This don't mean our enemies. So this is where sometimes our people can be tricked by these Christians. They're taking the book and flipping it upside down, and we become confused because we have not immersed ourselves in this book. So when you hear love thy enemy being spoken to, love thy neighbor, excuse me, being spoken to the children of Israel, our neighbors is Issachar and Judah, okay? Judah and Zebulun, Asher and Naphtali. All of these families were given lands side by side, so their neighbors were their brothers. So we understand these things. So the Most High made it plain that he would choose this one place in the midst of our tribes where we would bring our burnt offerings, where we would bring our sacrifices, where we would bring our tithe, our heave offerings, and where we would offer our vows. One place. And that place would be in the midst of the children of Israel. He will choose a place out of one of the families. Somehow, you have allowed yourself to be tricked, O children of Israel. Either that, or you have blatantly disregarded the words of the Most High. You decided you were going to go build you an eminent high place. We've got eminent high places all over the place. From where I sit right now, I mean, there's so many churches within 3 miles of me. Right now, where I sit, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They're everywhere. We have sometimes 3 and 4 to a block. So now we have built altars, built eminent high places, and we're going just about everywhere and anywhere talking about we're giving our tithe to the Most High, or to God, or to JC, as our people say. But if we come into this text and we read carefully, we would understand that the Most High had chosen one place in the midst of our tribes by which we can offer any type of tithe unto him, and where we can bring our offerings unto him and make our vows. One place. Never was that place ever in North America, South America, Central America, Europe. This place was in Jerusalem. One place. One. And so therefore, when anyone comes and speaks to you about some altar someplace and some church someplace, and they're calling that the house of God, you know clearly they don't walk in this law. you know clearly that the Most High is not before them. And if the Most High is not before them, they don't have to worry about having his protection. They don't have to worry about him providing for them. All they have to worry about is that he's going to punish them. And you see all of these individuals who have taken a hold of this falsehood, this lie. You're seeing them being punished right before your very face. And there's absolutely nothing that they can do about it. That's what you get when you take a hold of lies. All right. Now let's turn to Deuteronomy chapter 12, and we'll read verse 13 to finish out this lesson. Deuteronomy chapter 12, still in chapter 12, we'll turn to verse 13. All right, Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 13, and it reads, "Take heed to thyself, that thou offer not thy burnt offering in every place that thou seest." So, once again, a warning that we are not to take our offerings, our tithe, or make our vows in any old place that we see. We are to do this at that one place. There's no such place that exists in America today. Yet you will hear our people talking about giving tithe and offerings. To whom and for what? You've been bamboozled. You've been made a fool. You have chosen something that is profitable for nothing. You have chosen something that you were instructed clearly not to follow. At no time were we ever to walk after the gods of our enemies, in the lands of our enemies, nor were we ever instructed to build any eminent high place unto our God or any other God in the lands of our enemies. So, man of Israel, woman of Israel, you are to know your role. You are a holy people unto the Most High Yah. You are special. You are set apart. You can't be set apart and trying to be a part of what everyone else is doing. You're to separate yourselves from them, for these are wicked and evil people. Is that not being demonstrated to you day by day? Can you not see that before your eyes today? You can look through the archives of what happened in all of these nations where we dwell. You pick the nation, I don't care where it is, where we have been taken as slaves to these many lands. Look at our treatment in those lands today. Look at our treatment in the recent past and the distant past. And you will see that the people that we have been captured by, enslaved by, sold by, and murdered by, that all, not some, all of their ways are contrary to our God. And they have taught us their ways. So it's incumbent upon us to now figure out who we are. But you can't really figure out who you are unless you know who your father is. And that goes for that biological father of yours. And that goes for that spiritual father of yours, i.e. the creator. So once we understand what our lineage is, because our lineage is going to lead us to a certain place. And that place will let you know exactly who and what you are. And once you understand who you are and what you are, then you can go ahead and play that role to an Oscar's performance. As we look through these curses and we backtrack the records and we see clearly that we are the house of Israel, taken from this place and scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, that's when we have a clear understanding of exactly who we are. We can now identify ourselves and define ourselves, and therefore we can play the role that we were ordained to do. That is to be a holy people and to take this law, statutes, judgments, and precepts. We are to take the Most High's righteousness and teach it to these funky nations. You're seeing this evil all around you every day. And part of this is our fault. For had we done our job and walked in the Most High's law, statutes, judgments, and precepts, we would not have been enslaved in these many nations. These nations would have known the law because we would have been walking in it. We would have been leading them, and therefore they would have been taught the law, and we would not be experiencing the hardships that we are experiencing now. They would have a fear of us. But everything has been flipped upside down. However, it's within our power to change everything and to change our circumstances. Like I said before, whatever religion you're in, I'm going to use the word religion because it's a language and a word that you can understand. If it does not empower you and your people, then it is absolutely worthless. If it does not bring your people together as a collective, then it is worthless. What I do know is Christianity to our people is worthless and has been worthless and it will continue to be worthless. However, this Torah will galvanize us together, will strengthen us, that our protection may return unto us, that the Most High may both protect, provide, and punish us in measure when necessary. Peace, Israel, and Yah bless. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. And peace to the stranger that will take a hold of the Most High's laws, statutes, judgments, and precepts, and do them. We are to know our role, and we are to play it to an Oscar's performance, period. If you're a man, stand on that. You're a man. Don't be a man trying to wear a dress or any such foolishness like this. If you're a man of Israel, you stand in this Torah. And do not be accepting of anyone that runs amok of law and have no boundaries. We are to walk, we are to live within boundaries, righteous boundaries. Peace, Israel, and Yah bless. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Peace.